Sawete Discipuli, it's time to move on and learn about the rest of the noun inflections and how we'll be able to interpret what case a noun is written in once we have all of the noun inflections on our chart. For this lesson, you will need your pink noun chart. If you don't have it, make sure to get it now. Pause the video as you write the remaining noun endings that you see on the chart here on your own copy of the noun declension endings chart. When you are finished, you should start the video again. Up until now, the number of noun inflection endings that we've been working with have been pretty easy to manage. When we see an AM or a UM or an EM, for example, we know that it has to be a direct object. But now, as you look at the rest of the endings, you should start to notice that there are many endings that are repeated. So the question becomes, when you see nouns with those repeated endings on them in sentences, how will you know whether the that you're looking at is the accusative case or the genitive plural case from the third declension column? How will you know if the I on the noun that you're looking at is the dative case from third declension, the genitive case from second declension, or the nominative case from second declension? How will you know if the A is being a subject or a direct object? These are all things to think about. And that's what part of this lesson is going to help us to determine. Up to this point in time, most of the work that we've done with noun inflections involves reading. We've done some original composition where you're using the nominative and the genitive form of the noun, which is easily found on a vocabulary list. But suppose I want you to take a noun like miles, militis, for example, and use it like the direct object in a sentence. How will you know which of the direct object endings to add to it? Should you use AM or UM or EM? If it's plural, do I use AS, OS, A, or ES? How about nomen or puer or mater? I could ask the same question about any of these nouns. How are we supposed to know which particular ending to use on a certain noun? That's another question that we will be answering in this lesson. A key idea to know and understand is that writing or interpreting the case of a noun is going to be easier if you know what group or declension of nouns the noun itself belongs to. You're probably wondering, what do you mean by the declension of a noun? Declension is just a fancy name for a group of nouns. Look at the top of the noun declension endings chart. Do you see how the columns are labeled with different numbers? One column is first, two of the columns say second, another two columns say third. Those are the declensions, or groups of nouns. So each column on the chart represents a specific set of endings for a specific group of nouns. The question is, how are we supposed to decide what group or declension the noun belongs to? You're probably going to expect me to tell you how to decide which declension or group of nouns a noun is going to belong to, but I'm not ready to do that yet. Instead, I want you to look at a vocabulary list and examine the forms of the noun on the vocabulary list against the inflections that you see on the noun ending chart and make a decision about how we can look at those pieces of information and decide which nouns belong to which group or declension. Notice that some of the columns have genders associated with them. Second, masculine, second, neuter, third, masculine, feminine, third, neuter. Again, how will you decide what gender the noun is? I'm going to ask you to try to discover this by looking at the vocabulary list and comparing what you see on it to the inflections that you see on the noun endings chart. How can you use those two pieces of information that you're given to determine what is the declension of the noun or the group that it belongs to, and therefore what set of endings it will use? And how can you decide what its gender is going to be? To make these decisions, you will be using a copy of the list of nouns that you see here. You can find it in the resources folder or the handouts for the chapter 3 folder, which is in Schoology. So you'll want to have that out on your iPad, and you want your noun declension endings chart in front of you. And with the two of them together, I want to see if you can figure out what group or declension each noun on the list would belong to, and can you tell whether it should be masculine or neuter if it's from second declension, and can you tell if it's masculine or feminine or neuter if it's from third declension? When you think you know how to decide what declension or group the noun belongs to, come see me and share your ideas, and I'll let you know if you're correct, and then you'll be able to move forward. I can also correct your ideas if you're not correct and help you understand the right way to think about it. So go ahead, get the vocabulary list, examine it, and compare it with the endings on your noun chart and see if you can figure out what declension a noun belongs to just by looking at inflections.